News.
Okay, we'll start with this. A lengthy post I came across via social media. A lengthy post defending Clarissa Shields by the boxing junkie who said, "Yo, what's with these grown men obsessed with Clarissa Shields? I swear some of these so-called boxing pages need to change their names to Clarissa Shields hate pages." You might have noticed it yourself. The uptick in channels that are making videos about Clarissa Shields, unflattering videos. Every damn day it's another post attacking the GOAT. I don't get the obsession. She's one of the most decorated fighters to ever lace up the gloves, but these dudes wake up thinking about what they can say about her next. Yeah, because the algorithm is paying them to do it. What's even funnier, they don't keep that same energy for the male fighters who deserve criticism. Nah, all the smoke is reserved for a woman. That's some goofy shit. If you're gonna call yourself a boxing page, cover boxing, talk about everybody, win, lose, or draw. Stop building your whole platform around hating one female champion. I think they would do that if the algorithm itself weren't paying them so handsomely to talk about Clarissa. There's a reason they keep doing it. Me? I criticize everybody, male or female. I don't play favorites, and I damn sure ain't scared to call out any fighter when they deserve it. Watching grown men spend all day making content about one woman is weird as hell. At this point, it's giving fan behavior more than boxing journalism. I don't think any of these people ever claimed to be journalists. I know I don't. Some of y'all need to grow the fuck up. I'm about ready to unfollow every one of these goofy-ass pages. So here's the skinny. The reason you may have noticed an uptick in channels that are trashing Clarissa Shields, boxing channels and even many non-boxing channels, it's the algorithm. If you noticed the metrics for these anti-Clarissa Shields videos, a lot of people seem to want to watch them. A lot of people that are stimulating the algorithm, thus giving content creators an incentive to keep making videos like that. Irrespective of what the criticism is, we don't even have to address it. It's very obvious why this is happening. People want to watch it. It's the short answer. This boxing junkie person may consider Clarissa the greatest woman of all times, but there are a lot of other people out there who don't think that, who don't like her, and these content creators and pages he's talking about, they're making their videos for them, for that audience. Because whether you like it or not, you can't gatekeep other people's opinions or other people's contents, irrespective of what you consider journalism. Who said that any of these people consider themselves journalists? Many of them are just fans with a channel who are not fans of her. That's their prerogative. It's grown so widespread the last few months, we don't even have to address what the individual criticisms are because there are so many. Boxing Junkie chose to focus on the men that have been doing this, saying that it's goofy for a man to do it, but what about a woman, as there are no shortage of women who have taken to making videos about Clarissa, criticizing Clarissa. What do you have to say to them? Nothing, I guess, since he didn't mention it. So it's supposed to be a guilt trip that there are a lot of guys out there that have a lot of not so nice things to say about Clarissa, but once again, that's their prerogative. The criticisms levied against her are not thereby invalidated because they're coming from men. You'll notice that the boxing junkie did not address the individual criticisms or even give an example. Clarissa Shields' fans never do. They just slap the hater label on it.
You're a hater.
Like that's supposed to be some trump card. Like that's supposed to mean something. Without addressing specifically what it is these people are talking about, that doesn't make them haters by default for having an opinion or for not liking her. It's not written anywhere in somebody's library on a piece of parchment that you have to like Clarissa, you have to support her. If anything, I would call it a sign of equal rights, that they're not going easy on Clarissa anymore, they're not pulling punches, that she's become subject to a lot of criticism, the same as the men. Isn't that what they were fighting for? Equal treatment to the men. Equality, that's what she's getting. You're just upset that all these people don't agree with your opinion about her. You should be wondering why Clarissa Shields, more than any other female in the sport, gets this much criticism. You'd like to think that it's just hate, that they're just being unfair.
That's a cop-out.
You won't address the criticisms specifically because you know that some of it is valid. She's reached the point to where there are more content creators now making more videos about her than even I used to, because I used to be her biggest critic.
But even I don't make that many videos about her. Not like these guys.
But she's not really getting treated any different than any other polarizing public figure, because that's what she is. She's polarizing. And if you can't acknowledge that, then nobody should acknowledge you and what you have to say, because then you're just being dishonest.
Men's junior middleweight and middleweight news. Robert Garcia names Tszyu as Vergil Ortiz Jr.'s backup plan. Robert Garcia has one opponent in mind for Vergil this November, unified junior middleweight champion Jaron Boots Ennis. After 2 unsuccessful attempts to make the matchup, Garcia wants both sides to finally get a deal done.
If negotiations fall apart again, Garcia already knows who should come next. He named former world champion Tszyu as the leading option after Tszyu's unanimous decision win over Errol Spence Jr.
That's a surprising answer, because what do you aspire to gain from fighting Tszyu, who was last in action in the middleweight division, not the junior middleweight division, where Vergil holds the WBC interim title? One would think that if you can't get Vergil, you'd automatically go after Sebastian to get a title of your own, because Boots has 2.
Josh Kelly has 1. You have none.
We're pushing for the Boots fight because that's the biggest fight out there in the division, Garcia said to Fight Hub. That's the fight we want because I think we already owe it to ourselves and the world. It's already been twice where things go back and forth and then the fight doesn't happen. That's the fight Golden Boy is going to push for. But if not, Vergil versus Tim would be great. I wouldn't mind. I would love the fight.
Tszyu has already stated that he intends to remain at middleweight. Garcia said Ortiz would have no issue meeting him there.
I think it would have to be at 160, right? Because I think Tim already said he's staying at 160, Garcia said. Well, even 160 wouldn't be a bad idea. I wouldn't mind. Tim is a great name, great fighter. Just had a great win.
Is that what Robert really thinks? That was a great win and Tim is a great fighter? Is that really why he's looking at that guy?
Robert Garcia also dismissed the idea of giving Ortiz a tune-up after nearly a year out from the ring. He argued that many champions compete only once annually and said Ortiz should return against the strongest opponent available rather than take an easier assignment. If it's not Boots, then Tim would be perfect. I would love that.
I'll bet. They say that Robert is dismissing the idea of a tune-up fight, though underneath it all, that's because he views Tim as a tune-up fight, the same way Tim viewed Errol as a tune-up fight, and Errol viewed him as a tune-up fight. Think about it. You're saying you're willing to go to 160 pounds for Tim Tszyu, but if you're willing to go up there, why not go up there and fight a champion? Why not go up there and fight Erislandy Lara or Carlos Adames, WBA and WBC champions, instead of fighting Tim for nothing?
Tim doesn't have a belt. They do.
Why not fight Denzel Bentley, the newly minted WBO champion? Why not go after him?
Why not?
Instead of moving up to 160 and fighting Tim for nothing? Or is it that you know Vergil's already on his way to 160? He's been out too long. He's likely outgrown 154 already. You want to ease him into that transition by scheduling a tune-up fight with Tim, because that's what you view him as, a tune-up fight.
There's nothing wrong with that, by the way, if that's his perspective. I just think he's being disingenuous about it. You can do it.
You can try.
The fundamental flaw in this stratagem for Team Ortiz is, who says that Tim would give you the time of day? I vaguely recall after the Spence fight, Tim saying he would like to fight for a title next. He would like to fight Lara.
Tim Tszyu, unlike Vergil Ortiz, has already been a junior middleweight champion. Now what he aspires to do is become a two-weight world champion, a champion at middle.
He's targeting belts. Why aren't you?
That's the flaw in Robert Garcia's rationale. You act like you bring something to the table that Tim Tszyu should give you the time of day. Now, he's not that big a name in America, but he doesn't have to be. He's a big name in Australia, where he last fought. Why do you think Spence went down there? Do you think Errol Spence would have hopped on a plane and flew halfway around the world for peanuts on the dollar? Tszyu has always been worth a lot of money. He should have never actually fought in America, in Minneapolis, at the Armory, or in Florida.
That never made any sense.
Tantamount to Tszyu's bucket list of wanting to make it in America like his father once did, but he never needed to because he was already a very big name in Australia, worth a lot of money. How do you think they were able to lure Errol Spence Jr. down to Australia? Do you think he would have did that for peanuts on a dollar? They could afford it because of Tim.
That being said, I don't see what Vergil Ortiz would bring to the table that would compel Tszyu to look in his direction.
He's got nothing. It seems that Tszyu has finally read the memo. I've long maintained that a domestic draw like Tim shouldn't be traveling to anybody else's neck of the woods, least of all for guys who can't sell, like Sebastian Fundora.
Tim should have never been in that fight.
All that stuff that happened the last 2.5 years, it never should have happened, because a guy who can draw as well as Tim doesn't need to travel. He shouldn't. It would seem they've finally realized they just need to base Tszyu out of Australia and bring the fights to him, because many of these guys at 154 and 160, they can't actually draw flies to shit.
Why fly to America for Lara when you can bring him down there? Fight sells better.
Why fly over for any of these guys in between 154 and 160 if it's not Jaron Ennis?
Likely small potatoes.
Vergil Ortiz is not even as big a draw as Boots. He literally isn't. It's not that I'm advocating against the fight, it's that I'm telling you, I don't think it's gonna happen, and this is why. Because Vergil's not that big a draw, doesn't bring anything to the table to entice Tim. Tim already has his plans.
Robert Garcia thinks that's the perfect fight for Vergil in the fall, but what does Tim think?
In men's super middleweight news, there's not much left for me. Canelo hints at retirement is near. The next one is scheduled for October 31st in Saudi Arabia, as he aims to become a 3-time super middleweight champion when he faces the WBC's title holder, Christian Mabili.
Christian and Canelo have been out about the same amount of time because Christian fought on Canelo's undercard when he lost to Crawford.
That was in September of the previous year. Alvarez has been fighting as a professional since the age of 15. The former 4-weight world champion is now 36 and heading into the 69th fight of his 21-year boxing career after completing 532 rounds against the best fighters of his generation. Alvarez admits that the sand in the hourglass of his Hall of Fame-bound career is expiring. My body is going to tell me when to retire, Alvarez told CBS. When I'm in the gym, and if I take a lot of punches and my body doesn't respond in the same way, then I know. I'm not going to fight with that kind of training. You can see and feel everything in a training camp. You feel how your body responds or not. But there's not much left for me. For me, I have other things to accomplish outside of boxing. Alvarez finds himself in unfamiliar territory for the first time in a long time after losing to Terence Crawford in September. In November of last year, Alvarez exited the ring's pound-for-pound list for performance-related issues after more than a decade among the cream of the crop. He's also currently navigating his career without a championship belt. He has held one major title or another since 2011, outside of brief stretches here and there. With the changing times, Alvarez, who has trained in the high-altitude terrain near Lake Tahoe, California, over the last 3 years, and is coming off elbow surgery, also realizes he needs to make changes to his training as the matchup against Mabili inches closer.
So he's not going to train at high altitude anymore?
I used to be training in a rustic way. I grew up with that, he said. Right now, science is different, and I am adapting myself to that. It's smarter. Before, we used to run a lot, and your body gets tired at some point. But right now, I am adjusting myself to the modern day. I pretty much accomplished everything. If you look back, every time I fight, I break records, and that's my motivation, legacy. I'm fighting because I love boxing. I'm fighting to represent my country of Mexico.
I've no doubts that Canelo Alvarez is a proud fighter and a proud Mexican, but is that really why he's still fighting, or because Turkey and the Saudis are paying him a fortune to fight on?
If not for Turkey and the Saudis, would he be taking on a dangerous, unbeaten fighter, unbeaten champion like Christian Mabili so soon after a loss? If not for Turkey.
It's less than ideal, It puts Canelo Alvarez in a very precarious situation, now in his mid-30s, at 36, hinting at retirement, making adjustments to his camp to stretch his career a little while longer.
Still the face of boxing, even in defeat.
The reason for it: Terence Crawford simply beating Canelo Alvarez didn't make Terence Crawford the face. It didn't make him the top draw.
Simply beating Canelo Alvarez, just winning, that ain't enough, especially when you retire shortly afterwards, that even if you were en route to become the face of boxing, you just closed out your career. I'm not castigating him for that. I'm just saying that if Canelo Alvarez is still the face of boxing,
So part of the reason, the guy that beat him retired.
being the face of the sport entails earning the highest purses and providing the highest purses to your opponents. And nobody in the industry does that more than Canelo.
Even in defeat.
So whether people like it or not, Canelo Alvarez, for the time being, is still the face of the sport. And whenever he moves, whenever he does anything, everybody pays attention.
Is this gonna be his last stand?
It could be. Canelo Alvarez himself is the one hinting at retirement, saying that there's not that much left for him to do. In front of him is a tough customer, a young, unbeaten champion, all in his prime. And this fight will tell the story, because stylistically, Christian is the kind of guy that Canelo Alvarez used to be able to handle, but we don't know that he still can at 36, a year out from his last fight and coming off a loss.
We don't know.
What we saw in the Crawford fight, we might be able to chalk up to a bad stylistic matchup, that while Crawford is a once-in-a-lifetime fighter, very good at doing a lot of things, whereas Christian is a lot more simple, a lot more straightforward. He's a pressure guy, and Canelo normally does well against pressure guys.
So that if in late October he doesn't and he falters, it's time to retire, because this is the kind of guy you used to normally be able to beat.
If he wins, I could see him moving into a Hamza Shiraz unification match. I could see that happening.
Because Hamza is one of Turkey's favorites.
You figure that Jaime Munguia's got the WBA title and Canelo already beat him. There's no need to fight him for a second time. Oslis Iglesias, who's got the IBF. There's just not enough in it for Canelo, if that makes sense. Whereas fighting Hamza, that's another massive windfall that I think Turkey wouldn't mind paying for, because Hamza is one of his favorites, and if Canelo beats Christian,
He shows that he's still got something left.
it's what we aspire to find out in October. Some speculate that Canelo Alvarez has been moved off of his September fight date by Ryan Garcia's upcoming fight with Conor Benn,
That they bumped him off his own date.
but I don't think so. I think Canelo Alvarez makes money on whatever day he decides to fight. Whether it's in September or late October, Canelo generates business. It's not even that they bumped him off, it's that they need that date more than he does.
He's gonna sell regardless, whether it's in September, October, whenever.
He's gonna sell. But we could be looking at the last stand of Canelo Alvarez. It does have that feel. He's the one hinting at retirement, after all.